Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. And today I'll be reviewing The Running Man by Stephen King. If you've been following my videos, you'll know that I have been reviewing each Stephen King novel in order of publication, and we are to The Running Man right now. As you know, The Running Man is part of the Bachman books. Stephen King wrote 4 novels in his early career under the name Richard Bachman. Those books were compiled in this compilation right here, the Bachman books by Stephen King. They included Rage, The Long Walk, Roadwork, and The Running Man. And I've reviewed all the others except for Rage. I will not review Rage. It's the one novel Stephen King wished he had not written, so I will not review it out of respect for that. But we are to The Running Man right now. I reviewed The Long Walk and Roadwork earlier, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. We're to The Running Man now. So let's get to it. The Bachman books. Stephen King wrote these books under the pseudonym. He claimed that he wrote The Running Man in only a week. It's a 300-page book. You know, it's not long. It's a short novel. The Long Walk was short. Roadwork was short. Rage was short. Each about 300 pages. But he claimed that he wrote this one in 1 week, which is fast. Very fast for a novel to be written. I mean, I write, and I could not write. I could not write a 300-page novel in a week. You know, just it'd be impossible for me. You know, but I think that's why it's probably one of Stephen King's faster-moving, plot-driven thrillers. I mean, it just never lets up. It kind of harkens back to kind of Dean Koontz early work in a way, where the thrillers were just nonstop, real fast, fast-moving, fast-paced, interesting concepts, never let up, never let the reader take a breath kind of a thing. That's what The Running Man is. You know, and I listened to the audible.com version of the book at the same time I followed along with the book in hand. And the voice narrator was Kevin Kennery. He was pretty good. He was pretty good, did a good job. They always do a good job, the voice narrators. I don't ever have much of a complaint with those. Fast-moving, fast-paced novel. Probably Stephen King's most thriller of his thrillers. I mean, there's no supernatural stuff in this. There's no monsters. There's no, you know, like all the Bachman books, and I've mentioned this before. The Bachman books are not your typical Stephen King novels because they do not involve horror plots or supernatural plots or monsters or scares. They're all stories that are kind of based in reality somewhat. There's no supernatural stuff going on in them. It's just people being people, and several of them, including this one and The Long Walk, take place in future Americas. Not too distant future. I mean, he wrote this in the 80s, and this is set in the year 2025, which is only 5 years away. And so we get to see what Stephen King thought things might be like in 2025 through The Running Man. And, you know, a lot of things are similar, a lot of things are not. One of the things that he hits home with is, in the future, you know, it's going to be totalitarian state America will be, and it will be kind of, you know, the media is not to be trusted kind of a thing. And there's a lot of people in the world now that think that that's the way America's headed. So, you know, does he predict the future? We will get to that. We will get to the predicting of the future here in a bit with some of the other things that are in this novel about the future. And, you know, let's just get to the plot. Let's just get right to the plot. There's, this is a familiar story to most of you, so I don't think I need to rehash a lot of this. There's a guy, Ben Richards, who is blacklisted from his job. He's got a sick daughter, and he can't pay for the medical treatment, so he decides to sign up for a TV show that's very popular. It's called gosh, it's called the Games Network, I think is what it's called. And this is in a make-believe place called Co-op City, which is in America. It's a make-believe city within America. Co-op City, they run the Games Network, which is very popular, very violent games that people watch on TV that involve real humans. And so he signs up for this to win the game so he can afford the medical procedure for his daughter. So what the game is he signs up for the most popular game, which is called The Running Man. And the premise of The Running Man is you're given a 12-hour head start, and you can go anywhere in the United States that you want, and you can remain hidden. You can hide anywhere you want, but there's hitmen that are hired to search you down and kill you. And for every hour that you remain alive, you win $100. So, the longer you stay alive, the more you win. And that's the premise of the story. So Ben Richards, he signs up for this, and they say that he can be a contestant. And so they send him off into the Running Man universe, where he has to hide in America for as long as he can before the hitmen find him and kill him. And of course, they're professional hitmen, and they've done this before plenty of times in this game, and so they just know how to do it. And so the odds are stacked against him. And not only that, but this is filmed, and it's on TV every day. The people searching for him, and everybody, before he launches off out into America to hide, there's a TV show about him, and everybody knows his face. And the game company kind of sets him up as like this evil person, and yes, the hitmen need to kill him because he's just a bad guy. And so the viewers are rooting for the hitmen to find him and kill him. And part of the story is that Ben has figured out that, in the process of this whole getting ready for the game and everything, that the government isn't always on the up and up, and the media is sort of in the back pocket of the government. And, his false media, what does Trump call it? It's kind of, some of the things that Stephen King predicts in this book are pretty close to home nowadays, with our coronavirus lockdown, and Trump calling the media a bunch of liars, and whether you're right wing or left wing doesn't matter to me, but the right wing has its own version of the media, the left wing has its own version of the media in its back pocket, and who knows what the truth is. And Ben has kind of figured that this is a problem, and he notices it in his own game, The Running Man, is that he's a good guy, but the media has set him up to be an evil guy. And he's like, but I'm not an evil guy. Why is everybody cheering for me to die? Because the media has portrayed him in a false light, fake news. The fake news got him. The fake news got him. Well, before Ben is sent off to do the Running Man competition, they give him a video camera so he can record himself and what he's doing. He has to be careful not to give away where he's at, but he does record himself, and he starts to kind of, as he's hiding, he starts to tell the American public that, hey, the government's not bad, the government's not on the up and up, the media is fake news, all this and the other. And of course, every time he starts mentioning that, his video feed gets shot down and all that. So that's the premise of the story. Now, a lot of you probably watched the movie made called The Running Man, based off this book with Arnold Schwarzenegger. To say that it's very loosely based off this book would be an understatement or an overstatement. It's just the movie has nothing to do with this book. In reality, they're completely two different works of art, and the book, I think, goes into a lot more interesting parallels to our own world, and it's more of an introspective commentary on media and commercialism and the our nature for violence and sensationalism. That's kind of what the book is going for. Well, the movie kind of hit on that too, but the book does it in a lot more subtle, artistic way. And Stephen King, You know, it's just better. The book is better. And if you've read both, you know what I'm talking about. So let's talk about, you know, like I said, Stephen King set in 2025, and Stephen King is sort of postulating what 2025 might look like and some things in the future. And my gosh, there's kind of like a haunting, sort of gruesome foreshadowing. Remember, this is written in 1980s, early 80s, before 9/11 had ever happened or been thought of. And I'm telling you, there's like a foreshadow to 9/11 that is haunting and chilling. And, you know, I know Tom Clancy had kind of a similar situation with one of his books. I think it was the not the Sum of All Fears, the not Executive Orders, the one right before Executive Orders in the Jack Ryan series. Interesting stuff though. The elephant in the room, though. Let's talk about the elephant in the room with The Running Man and the Bachman books and The Long Walk. Let's talk about The Long Walk and the Running Man specifically. And, you know, if you've read The Long Walk and Running Man, you are familiar already with Stephen King's version of sort of the Hunger Games, where people go on TV to watch television shows about people killing each other. Stephen King wrote these in the 70s and 80s. He thought of this idea long before Suzanne Collins and the Hunger Games ever came out. And the Hunger Games has gained a much wider audience than The Long Walk and the Running Man. So a lot of people say, did Suzanne Collins get her ideas by combining The Running Man with The Long Walk to get the Hunger Games? I don't believe so. I mean, these are ideas, and ideas can't be copyrighted. And, you know, you as a writer, you get I do it all the time. You get your ideas from different authors. And as long as you're, you know, putting your own spin on it and not plagiarizing stuff word for word, you know, I think it's all right. And I don't think that she specifically set out to copy Stephen King with The Long Walk or The Running Man, and a combination of the both, because really the combination of The Running Man and The Long Walk is pretty much the whole plot of the Hunger Games. I love the Hunger Games books. I love the movies. I love The Long Walk. I love Running Man. I don't like the Running Man movie. They have not made a movie of The Long Walk yet. Hope they do. I think there's one in production or pre-production. Let's hope it's good. So The Running Man, Stephen King, the last Bachman book of his that I will be reviewing. I really, really liked it. Like I said, it's one of his fastest moving thrillers. It keeps you going. You can't stop reading it. It just goes and goes and goes. It's, you know, the Da Vinci Code of Stephen King, where you just can't stop turning the pages because you got to find out what happens next. No scares, no horror stuff, no monsters jumping out at you, no supernatural things, no shinings. It's just one man trying to figure out how to win the Running Man competition, and pretty fun. It's a fun book, probably his funnest book, his quickest, fastest moving, funnest book, The Running Man. I give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I do. I really like this. So The Running Man, if you have not read it, go get it. Watch the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Compare them. The Running Man, 8.5 out of 10.